Hi, I'm Adam Goldberg. I'm a pet photographer in Tampa, Florida, and in this video I'm going to be giving you 6 tips on how to get better photos of rescue dogs. Tip number 1, don't be overbearing. If you find yourself photographing a dog, let alone a rescue dog, you might feel inclined to go up to them and say hi or, try to pet them. We advise to let them come to you, especially when you're photographing rescue animals. These dogs have never, been at a photo shoot before. They might be scared, they might be nervous, especially if they're in a rescue or a foster home. So don't be overbearing. Instead of, approaching them, let them approach you. Get on their level, let them sniff your hand. That's a big thing. If they want to be friendly, let them be friendly on their terms. My biggest tip for photographing shelter, rescue, foster dogs is don't be overbearing. Let them come to you. Get on their level, crouch down. Let them come to you on their terms. Tip number 2 to getting better photos of rescue dogs is use high-value treats or even cheese or even hot dogs. Dogs that are scared or nervous may not want to eat right away, so if they're not eating, that's a sign that they may not be comfortable. But if you do have high-value treats like cheese, even peanut butter, that will usually motivate them to do what you want them to do, to get them to sit, get them to stay. So tip number 2 to getting better photos of rescue dogs is use cheese, use peanut butter, use a high-value dog treat. Tip number 3 for getting better photos of rescue dogs is if a dog is scared of the sound that your strobe is making, don't be afraid to lower the power of your strobe and raise your ISO. Now for these photos, I'm usually at 1/200 shutter speed, f8, f9, because I want those eyes in focus, but I want the nose in focus too. And I'm usually at ISO 100 to get the best photo quality. But that means I have to put my strobe almost nearly at full power. I'm usually about at an 8 of 9. But the sound that strobe makes is usually a little startling, especially to dogs that are nervous or shy. So I'll cut the power down to 4 and raise the ISO to maybe 400 or maybe even 800, 1600, depending on how dark the dog is. But don't be afraid to raise the ISO to get the power of the strobe to not be as loud, so it won't spook them. So tip number 3, raise and lower the power of your strobe, raise and lower the power of your ISO to achieve your exposure, but also make the dog feel a little more comfortable. Tip number 4 for getting better photos of rescue dogs. Consider getting yourself a foldable Vlat from Vlat World. It's a really versatile piece of kit that you can use as a backdrop. So if you want to have white backdrop portraits, you can put your subject against the white. If you'd rather have a dark backdrop, you can use that side too because it has white and black. It's really versatile because you can use it to replace your roll of backdrop paper or even a roll of canvas if you have that. But having this foldable Vlat in your kit, you can also use it creatively. You can add light into the shadows. You can at the same time reverse that and lean into the shadows and create a more dramatic portrait. So if you're a mobile photographer and you don't want to have to carry those large rolls of backdrop paper, consider getting yourself a foldable Vlat. Tip number 5 to getting better photos of rescue dogs is to have the dog sniff or smell your camera. Some of these dogs have never ever seen a professional camera before. So if that happens, if you notice that they're scared of, when you bring the camera to your face, which does tend to happen, maybe do it a little slower. But you can also put a piece of cheese or a treat next to your camera and have them sniff it. And that usually gets them, okay, this camera isn't so bad, or this thing that I've never seen before isn't so bad. And they get used to it eventually. So tip number 5 to getting better photos of rescue pets is have your subject, have your rescue dog smell the camera. Tip number 6 for getting better photos of rescue dogs, I always tell photographers, never force a dog or a pet to have their photo taken. Usually it's pretty obvious when a dog is nervous, which means their tail is tucked, they're shaking, they don't want to eat. So it's really important that you don't want to stress a dog out even more. So if a dog is showing those signs that they're not interested and they're not really up for having their portrait taken, don't force it. Come back next week, come back later on, try again. There's times where we have to try 3, 4, 5 times to get a photo of a dog to get their adoption photo. So we don't want to force a dog to have their photo taken. So knowing that going in, that if this dog isn't, comfortable around the photo equipment or they're just showing not their best side, the photo's not going to turn out that great anyway. So don't be afraid to skip them. So tip number 6 is don't be afraid to skip a dog. Never force a dog to have their photo taken. That's it for this video. I want to thank our friends at Vlat World for helping us and sponsoring 4 dogs to have their photos taken from local rescues here in Tampa. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions about pet photography, you could reach out. I'm agoldphoto, Adam Goldberg, and I'd love to answer any questions that you have. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in a future video.